Okay, hello everyone. Hello, good morning, guys. How are you all? Good morning, everyone. My name is Afreen Asbat, and I welcome you all to today's session. So, today's topic of discussion is Unit 1 Banker Customer Relationship. So, we are going to complete this chapter in this video. So, please like and share the video, everyone. Let's start the video. First of all, if we talk about the banker's customer relationship, normal, if we talk about the normal functioning of the bank, okay, so in a normal functioning of the bank, the normal objective of a bank is what? Is to accept money from the public for the purpose of lending. This is the normal functioning of the bank. And apart from this primary functioning, there are different ancillary functions of the bank also. Like bank actually provides you the check clearance facility. Bank actually provides you with the deposition of electricity bill or different type of bills. Bank serves as an insurance agent also. Bank provide you locker services also. Bank provides you service like investments option and different things also. So besides this primary services means acceptance of the deposit for the purpose of lending, there are different ancillary functions of the bank also. And due to this ancillary functions, there are different bank and customer relationship that actually arises from this ancillary functionship. And the main part of this chapter is this: there is a different part, there is a different thing, there is a different we can say different bank customer relationship which actually arises from this uh, ancillary functions, and we are going to discuss each and every function with their bank and customer relationship in detail. Okay, so let's start. The very first thing is the customer. First of all, let's define who is a customer according to the bank. So first, a bank described as a customer who has an account or has a business relationship with the bank or conduct a transaction with the bank. So if there is any bank who has a business relationship, who is a person or entity who has any business relationship with the bank, or he or she maintains the account in a bank, then he termed as a what? He termed as a customer of a bank. Second, if we talk about on whose behalf the account is maintained, means beneficial owner, means directly that person is the customer of the bank. It is true, means if I am going and I want to open a bank or open a account in a bank, then I am a customer of that bank. It is true. But for example, on my behalf, there is an entity, there's a corporate, okay, and they want to open an account. Okay, now that corporate, because it is a non-living organization, that cannot move into the bank to open the account. There is always a representative who actually represents that entity. So not only that entity or that corporate is the customer of the bank, but all those who is on the behalf of that corporate is also considered as the customer of the bank. Means beneficial owner is the customer of the bank, as well as a person or an entity who are having direct relationship or maintaining an account with the bank is termed as the customer of the bank. Third, beneficiaries of transactions conducted by professional intermediaries, stockbroker, chartered accountants, solicitors are permitted under the law. So, beneficiaries of the transaction who is conducted by any professional intermediaries like CA or stockbroker or solicitor, they are also considered as the customer of a bank. Last, any person or entity with a financial transaction which can pose a significant reputational risk to the bank can also be the customer of the bank. Now, what does that mean? For example, there is a person. Now, that person, the activity or the transaction of that person can directly or indirectly can pose a reputational risk to the bank. It means that the transaction may have a bad impact on the bank or may have a good impact on the bank. So there is a reputational risk or the transactional or the financial risk. If any person or entity is directly or indirectly causing a reputational or financial, or you can say any type of risk to the bank, then he or she is also considered as a customer of the bank. So simple, a person who is having a direct relationship with the bank. Second, professional intermediaries like CA, solicitors, they are also considered as the customer of bank. Beneficial owners, they are also considered as the customer of the bank. And lastly, a person or the entity who is actually posing a reputational risk to the bank. The transaction can pose a reputational risk to the bank. They can also considered as the customer of the bank. So for KYC, so all these needs KYC. If there is a KYC, that KYC is done for the direct customer, also for the beneficial owners, also for the person who poses the reputational risk to the bank also. So the KYC is mandatory for all these. So a customer is defined in this way. Now, let's start discussing the relationship between bank and customer. Now, the very first and the common relationship is the debtor and the creditor relationship. Now, there is a very common thing that you all know that bank act as a creditor and the customer is acting as a debtor. So, it is actually true. There is nothing wrong in that. But do you ever realize that yes, that bank is also a debtor and customer can also act as a creditor in some case? Did you ever thought of this like that? So why in different situation? So here always remember that vice versa is always true. It means that bank can act as a debtor and the creditor, as well as customer can act as a debtor and creditor both, but the circumstances, the situations are different. So let's consider each and every situation with an example. For example, if for example I am a customer, my name is Afreen Azmat, I am a customer, I am going to a bank, HDFC bank. Okay, now I have opened an account in a FGFC bank and have deposited my 5 lakh rupees in this HDFC bank account. I have deposited my money in this HDFC bank account. It means that on my demand, whenever I demand, the HDFC bank has to return my deposited money, my 5 lakh rupees, yes or no? So in this case, because I have opened account, I have deposited my 5 lakh rupees to HDFC. The money is mine, means HDFC owes this money to me. Means whenever I demand, HDFC needs to return back this money to me. And that's why, because HDFC owes this money to me, HDFC has to return this money on my demand. And that's why in this case, this bank acts as a debtor, and because I am depositing my money to the bank, so I am acting as a creditor. So customer act as a creditor and bank act as a debtor, in which case, in case when the customer is depositing money with his, because when a customer deposits money in his bank, it is but natural that on demand bank has to return that deposited money. And that's why the customer is a creditor and bank is a debtor. Clear? Now, creditor and debtor in the reverse case, it is the normal case. For example, I am the customer offering and I have borrowed some loan from the bank. Now, because bank has given me some loan amount, it means that this amount is now due on my side. I have written this amount to bank. And that's why in this case, always remember that because bank is giving loan, so bank is a creditor. And because the customer is received the loan, customer acts as a debtor. So a customer is a debtor and a bank is a creditor when a bank provides loan to the customer. Whereas customer is a creditor and bank as a debtor in the case when a customer deposit his or her money to the. Always remember the vice versa situation is always true. Clear? Okay, next, if we talk about the next, bank act as a trustee. So trustee is a person to whom we can trust. Trustee is a person whose primary objective is to act in the best benefit of their beneficiaries. It means that when customer is depositing the important documents to the bank for their safety. For example, the customer is depositing their property paper to the bank, their investments holdings to the bank. Customer is depositing their valuables, proper documents to the bank for their safety, for their safeguarding. Then in this case, a customer is trusting bank with their belongings, and that's why a bank act as a trustee in this case. Which case, when a customer deposits its beneficial items to the. Okay. Now, why? Because in this case, bank actually act as a trustee to whom the customer actually trusted on and deposited their paper, and it is the responsibility of the bank to act in the best interest of the customer. Okay. Now, in this case, there is are two relationships which arises. The relationship can be arises of a trustee also. Bank can act as a trustee also, and bank can act as a bailee also. Now there's a relationship which is known as bailee and bailer. Bailee and bailer, always remember, a bank is a bailee and a customer is a bailer. And the vice versa in this situation is not true. The vice versa in this situation is not true. Why? First of all, in which situation the customer act as a bailer and the bank act as a bailee? When there is a bank, now this is a bank, and customer is going to deposit their valuable documents, their investment paper, property papers, their important belonging for their safe custody to the bank. Now, because customer is giving their deposit to the bank, a customer is acting as a bailer, the one who gives. Always remember OR. This I am repeating again and again. Why? Because this will create confusion when we move forward, because the further examples has some different thing. Now you have to clear your concept first here. Why? Because see, customers giving their property, papers, their investments, their original document for their safety, for their safeguarding to the bank, and because the customer is giving, and that's why the customer is acting as a bailer, and because the bank is actually taking that all documents for their safety, and that's why the bank is acting as a bailee. Bank act as a bailee. Vice versa in this situation will never be true. And according to section 148, according to what? According to section 148 of the Indian Contract Act 1872, the bank becomes the custodian of the securities. Means whatever the valuables, bonds, securities, documents, it is submitted by the customer to the bank become the custodian of that. And the bailee means the bank is responsible for any loss that happens to the bailer or due to the negligence of the bailee. And that's why the bailee is responsible for the compensation of the loss to the bailer in this case. So always remember, when a customer is giving something, the customer is bailer and the bank is bailee. In which condition? When the customer is giving their documents, property, shareholders papers for their safe custody to the bank, the customer is acting as a bailer, and in this case bank act as a bailee as well as bank act as a trustee. Both are the same situation. Bank act as a bailee and trustee in the same situation, and customer act as a bailer. Clear? Next. Now, next is what? Okay, next is agent and principal. Now, agent and principal relationship, again, remember that bank always act as an agent and customer always act as an principal. Now, who is an agent and who is a principal? Principal is a one person who authorizes another one to perform or do some functions on his or her behalf. Whereas an agent is the person who is actually acting on the behalf of the principal. So our agent carries out the function on the what direction of the principal. The principal is the one who is directing the agent to do some functions or some work on his or her behalf. Now, bank have some ancillary functions also. Bank can submit the electricity bill, club fees, payment fees, insurance fees on the behalf of the customer. So these, in this case, a customer is authorizing bank to deposit the electricity bill, the club payment fees, the insurance fees, the EMIs on the behalf of the customer. And the bank is acting as an agent because bank is submitting on the behalf of the customer and the customer is directing to perform some function. So in this case, a customer is a what? A customer is a agent. Sorry, a customer is a principal who is directing bank to do some work, and a bank is acting as an agent because bank is submitting that fees on the behalf of the person. Okay, next, if we talk about the next thing, just a second. Okay, next is what? Next is bank as a lessor and customer as a lessee. So here you can confused. Okay, why? Because in the bailer bailee concept, I have told you customer is the bailer, the one who is giving, and the bank was bailee, and the vice versa was not true. But here, see, the bank is a lessor, the one who is giving, and the customer is the lessee. So bank has the ancillary function that bank gives us some safe deposit locker for the safety of some valuable items of the customer. For example, bank has a locker. Bank has given that locker on a rent to the customer, and the customer has deposited their valuables like jewelry, gemstone, precious metals in that locker, okay, for their safety. Now in this situation, see, because the bank is giving that space on a lease to the customer, because bank has that safety deposit locker, so bank has given that space to the customer on what? On a lease. Okay, and that why the bank is a lessor, because in this case the bank is giving, now the customer is keeping their safe their valuables in that locker, and the customer has received that space on a lease from a bank, and the customer has to pay back the amount, the lease rental in this case, and that's why a customer act as a leasee, the one who receive, and the bank act as a lessor, the one who gives that space. Whereas in bailee bailer concept, remember that a customer has given their documents, their valuable properties documents for to the bank for their safety. Now, in this case, the customer is giving, because the customer is giving, the customer is the bailer, and the bank is receiving, the bank is a bailee. In lesser lessee, because the bank is giving that rental space or that locker on a lease to the customer, the bank act as a lessor, and the customer is receiving that space on a lease, and that's why a customer act as a leasee. Clear? Next, if we talk about the next, indemnifier and indemnity holder or indemnified. So there is a contract of indemnity, or you can say there is an indemnifier on in or indemnified holder in case of bank. So in this case, always remember the bank is the indemnity holder and the customer is acting as a indemnifier. Okay. Now, what is indemnifier and what is indemnified holder and what is the contract of indemnity? So, contract of indemnity is if there is any contract between A and B, and contract is in such a way that A is assuring B that A will compensate any loss to B if any loss happens to B from any third party, that is C. Means this is known as contract of indemnity. It means that A assures B that if there is any loss that will happen to you from any third party, then I will be responsible for what? I will be responsible for compensating your loss. And for this, A, because A is assuring B, A is indemnifier. Okay. B, because B is assured, it is indemnity holder or indemnified. All the insurance contract are termed as contract of indemnity because the insurance company is assuring that person that if you suffer any loss from the third party, then I will be compensating your loss. Okay, so the insurance company is actually the indemnifier who is assuring. The person who actually purchased the insurance is the indemnity holder because he and she or she is being assured of compensation of the loss. And there is a third person who actually can cause harm to the indemnity holder. Okay, now in this case, if we talk about the bank and customer relationship, bank is always the indemnity holder and customer is the indemnifier. Means customer assures a bank that in any case, if you suffer loss from any third party, then I will be compensating your loss. And it happens in which case? For example, a customer has a draft and a customer actually lost this demand draft. Now the customer requested bank to issue a duplicate demand draft. So the duplicate demand draft is issued by the bank, but the bank has first to sign that customer, make sure that the customer will sign the contract of indemnity, in which there is a statement which says that if that demand draft, original demand draft, is found in the hand of third party and that third party make any misuse of that and go to the bank and bank suffered any loss from that demand draft, the customer will be responsible for compensating that loss, and the customer accepted it. And in this case, the customer assures bank that okay, you can issue a duplicate demand draft to me. If original demand draft is found by any third person and he or she gains unnecessary profit from that and the bank suffers loss in this case, then I will be compensating that amount of loss to the bank. And because in this situation bank is actually assured, and that's why bank is the indemnity holder and the customer is the indemnifier. Clear? So these are all the bank customer relationship. Again, I'm revising all of you in one line that you will remember the very common thing. First of all, I have said about the debtor and creditor. So in this debtor and creditor, the vice versa situation is actually true. It means that bank can act as a debtor and creditor both, as well as the customer and act as a debtor and creditor both. When a customer deposits money to the bank, the customer is a creditor and bank is a debtor. When a bank gives loan to the customer, the bank is a creditor and the customer is a debtor. Okay? Clear? Now next, if we talk about the bailer and bailee. So bailer and bailee. So bailer is always the customer and Bailey is always the bank, and vice versa in this situation is not true. In which condition it is true? When a customer is depositing their important documents to the bank for their safety. In this case, the customer is a bailer and bank is a bailee. Then there is the agent principal relationship. Agent is the bank and principal is the customer. In which case, when a customer authorizes bank to do his or her function on the behalf. For example, the bank has submitted insurance premium, bills and other thing on the behalf of the customer. So bank actually in this case act as an agent and customer act as a principal. Okay, now next was the lesser lessee. So lessee is the customer and lesser is the bank. Lesser is the bank in which case? In the case in which we can say that the bank has given that locker on a lease to the customer. And because bank has given that locker, so bank as a lessor and the customer is actually the lessee. Lastly, we have talked about the indemnified. So indemnified or indemnity holder is the bank and the customer in this case act as an indemnifier, the one who gives the surety. Clear? So this is the bank customer relationship in different case. Okay. Now, there are different things also, like there is a demand deposit, current deposit, lease financing thing, which we will discuss in detail in the class. So there is a new batch that is coming on or that is starting from 3rd of September, guys. Okay, now this course is the crash plus cracker batch. It means that in this you have, because you have this 45 to 50 days left for your exam. So in this short time period, what we educators are planning for all of you, that you will have a short summary batch, which is the crash plus cracker batch. So there is a crash course, a short 20 days course in which all the chapters is revised to you completely. And then there is the 20 to 25 lectures that is totally based on the questions, the practice questions for all of you. And that's why if you want to enroll in this batch, you can buy this super elite subscription. Why this super elite subscription? Why? Because see, in super elite subscription you don't have to go with every subject separately. You just buy one plan and every subject and every batch will be covered in this super elite batch. Okay, now if we talk about, these are the courses which are provided for you with the super elite subscription. There is a JAIIB all-in-one crash plus cracker in Hindi medium as well as in English medium, and I am your English medium educator. I will be teaching you PPB and IEIFS in the English medium. This batch is especially for those students who have already uh, 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 just completed their whole syllabus in the foundation batch, or just have their whole syllabus finished. Why? Because in this batch we are just going to have a crash course. So 55 units will be covered in 20 days. It means that there is a fast revision. In one day we will be revising 2 or 3 units, and in a very quick mode, that you will get the overview of whole chapters, and then there will be practice sessions and questions based on the summary. Okay, so these are the super elite subscription. Now if you want to buy this, you can just go to the app, you can just buy the super elite subscription on JAIIB and CAP category, and there is a currently 48% off that is running on website. So this is the best chance for all of you to purchase the subscription if you want. Okay, so thank you so much, guys. Till then, take care. Thank you so much. I hope that you will all join this cash packet batch that will be starting from 3rd of September. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye bye, guys. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Take care.